I'm joined by Oliver Tooze of Creepin' G.
Big jobs, and then you help me, please. You're always at my door. You're always at my door.
The latest single, "Always at My Door." How did that come about? The meaning behind that song?
A lady that became a bit obsessed with who we were and where we were recording the second album. The next day, we just said we were recording. See you later. She turns up into the studio. So she just came, this old lady called Ig kept coming back every day, not leave us alone, just literally interrupting sessions out of the street.
She's Saturday night, disco fever. She's Saturday night, karate receiver.
I remember actually the studio had like a residential suite. I remember being on the phone to my dad and coming out the bedroom, and she walked through the corridor into the kitchen.
Wow.
Where we were staying, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, how the hell did she get in? Yeah, I was like, one sec, Dad, I'll have to call you back. And then I was like, we were like, you can't be in here.
So I'm here with Ollie of Creepin' Gene. Of course, you have the new album on the way, Business is Dead. At the time of this release, it'll have just come out, which we'll be absolutely getting into. But first, I like to have a look at those beginnings, those early years. So how did this journey begin for you? What was that moment, if you had one, where you thought, I want to be a musician. This is what I want to do.
Oh God, that long ago. Yeah, I think it was just in school. You started to get into people, or you started to listen to someone's music, don't you? And then you started getting into someone might play AC/DC, and you're like, or something like that on a stereo, or like a CD, for example, and you're like, oh my God, what the hell is that? And then next thing you know, you're doing like the school, the rock band competition, whatever it was, Battle of the Bands, 15, and then 17, 18, you start gigging around the city, don't you? And then yeah, I've always just been in love with music since then, really.
What was that first band for you? I think growing up, everybody has that first one that really resonates with them, that strikes a bit of a chord. Did you have one or a few in particular?
It was probably Thin Lizzy, actually. Yeah, the local guitar shop, the guy that sold me my first guitar and taught me to play a bit, he was massive on Lizzy, and so he just got me into the back catalogue. And then 18, soon as I was driving around, it was just, back-to-back Lizzy albums, really. So I think that was probably the first band that I got into that, became a bit obsessed with. And, had to know everything about it. So from then on, I think.
A few years back, after that debut album was released, When's the Blowout, I had you guys kind of in my ones to watch for the end of the year show. Of course, you've certainly lived up to that now, just coming back from that tour with Rival Sons. What was that kind of experience like for you guys? I mean, I imagine that's quite a journey with them.
Rival Sons, perfect, really. I think it's just it really it's a good matchup with us and them. Same sort of sound and sort of outfit, into the same things. Everyone's inspired by the same bands. It just went really well. Good experience to be out with them. It was overall pretty good, to be honest. No complaints there. Just fun. Really nice guys. Giving us a lot of time. And they've got a really solid fan base, as we've discovered. They just love rock music, want to keep it going, keep carrying that torch. We'll buy the vinyl, we'll be at a rock gig and just enjoy it.
I'm correct in saying that first album, that debut album, When's the Blowout, that was completely self-financed. I believe I read somewhere that it was kind of financed through the sale of 5,000 pairs of Converse.
Yeah, Yeah, so yeah, we were, it was in lockdown. We just kept putting singles out when we started Creeping Gene. And our
Mm.
engineer suggested we do an album. He said his end of his year is wrote off. He can't tour. These bands have got to cancel because they can't fly to record with him. So he said, let's just do the first album. And I was like, it's a great idea. But the only issue is as it's every issue, it's money.
Mm.
So because obviously I run a clothes shop, it was like, what we're gonna do. So I knew like this is something I could get, a big volume of cheap. So I was just like, I had to put that into, and yeah, we had to put that into work and start doing markets, selling them in my shop, and yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Um,
really going through the thick of it, really. So, but yeah,
I mean, I believe that you've for the new album, Business is Dead, you've kind of been going back back to the market. It's self funding again.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
you look at did you look at approaching this album any differently this time around? I personally feel that it builds on that first release. Feels a bit more of an expansive record. With certain songs, incorporating those more kind of orchestral themes, like on the first track, Mammoth. Did when
Yeah.
you went into the studio, was you looking at kind of that next level?
Yeah, I think it kind of came around so quick. I think we recorded the second album within 7 months of the first one coming out. So
Mm,
there wasn't like a plan as such. Oh, it needs to do this. Again, like a group of songs came together, and then it just sort of collectively fell into place and it was like, right, we want orchestra on Mammoth. We knew that, and then
mm,
Love Snakes, The Way You Dance. What other songs can we put it on? And it was great recording the orchestral part in a barn where we would do a lot
mm,
of rehearsing and a lot of our pre-studio writing, you could say. So, our engineer had a great idea to bring them over. Let's do it in a cattle barn, and we did that live in there, which was quite nice. Um,
mm,
yeah, it kind of fell into place. The first one was like a collective build up of, in lockdown 50 songs. But this one,
mm.
it felt like was writing specifically just to make it work, tie the songs in together. So yeah, I suppose in that sense there was a bit more forward planning to it, but yeah, not a crazy amount.
The latest single, "Always at My Door." How did
Yeah.
that come about? The meaning behind that song?
So yeah, again, that is actually tied around the second album actually. So it was a lady that became a bit obsessed with who we were and where we were recording the second album. So yeah, I know it's just, yeah, one of those things where next thing I'm in the bank and I'm staring across the road and I can just see three of the lads picking between they're gonna be so annoyed I got this wrong. Like nutmeg or oh God, what was the other thing? It was nutmeg or something else. It was like two offerings and it felt a bit cursed. This was 25-minute walk away from recording. The next day, we didn't say, we just said we were recording. See you
Mm.
later. Um, she turns up into the studio, which was like, what the hell? Like, how the hell did she get here? No one said anything. So she'd been doing loads of research, going into hotels, and the Grand Hotel on the seafront told her where we were, which was annoying. So she just came. This old lady called Ig kept coming back every day, not leave us alone, just literally interrupting sessions out of the street.
Wow.
So yeah, so always at my door. Yeah, it was already a track, but as soon as she kept doing that, I was like, we need to amend the lyrics like immediately to make this work about this woman because it wouldn't giving up. I remember actually living because the studio I'd like like a residential suite. I remember
Mm.
being on the phone to my dad and coming out the bedroom, and she walked through the corridor into the kitchen.
Wow.
Eh, where we were staying, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, how the hell did she get in? Yeah, I was like, one sec, Dad, I'll have to call you back. And then I was like, we were like, you can't be in here. And then yeah, I think she had a bit of a soft spot for Tom in our band. Um,
Yes, I
yeah, and then she
remember.
returned with gift offerings and like a love note
Yeah,
to Tom. Stra- yeah, just yeah, the strangest thing. Um,
yeah.
I think it was a Christmas. This was 3 weeks, 4 weeks before Christmas. So there was a Christmas tree, a miso soup sachet, a love note, something to do with our YouTube channel, or I can't remember what
Wow.
else. Yeah, and then Kirk, our bass player, insisted we burnt it on the beach because he thought it was cursed. So yeah, it was a bit of a crazy 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I read about that kind of interaction about apparently like she came out and was asking one of you guys whether they were Bob Dylan. It seems quite
Oh
an
yeah, it's Kirk, the bass player.
unusual.
It was the most. Yeah, yeah. He basically had that scarf, fur coat, and hat, which is oh, what album is it? Is it Desire?
I
What
know
Dylan
which one you
album
mean.
is it?
Yes. Yeah,
The one on
yeah.
the front cover
Mm.
with Hurricane on it. Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So he was fronting that look, which is quite Bob Dylan-esque. So she thought he was Bob Dylan, and it was pretty bonkers, really. Yeah, and for 48 hours we couldn't get rid of her. How do you tell an old lady politely to leave? I mean, has anyone ever come across that situation before? You know, because she wasn't likely to do any harm, but it was just so distracting. It's like we've got something to do. It was like she wouldn't leave us alone. So
It's
you
quite
know,
unusual.
love. It is quite unusual, yeah.
Um,
And then I saw her. We were like, someone made a joke about something about her maybe smoking something, and then we saw her in the bushes the next day around the corner ripping all these plants off this tree, and I was like, oh my god, it was just bizarre. And then she saw us at that point, so then we
mm.
just ran. It was pretty strange, really. And then when she did come back to the studio, it was like, where do you drink? What days do you drink? Which pub? It was relentless. She doesn't give up.
um, Sonically for that single "Always at My Door," it felt like you guys had really kind of leaned into that very kind of '60s feel, late '60s kind of vibe. Um,
Yeah.
how did that happen, kind of musically? Did you just kind of want to
Uh,
lean into that?
I think so. Yeah. I think obviously with the soon as the demos were put down, it was the sort of thing that was like, it needs octave guitars or like a 12 string doing that, the riff that matches the vocal.
Mm,
It's just that sort of like, Birds, Beatles sort of 60s feel. But we didn't want the whole album to go down too much of that road. But we
mm,
all have a massive nod to it in the band, so it was nice to put a bit of that in, but not too much. Um,
mm.
Rod obviously plays sitar in one
Yeah.
of his other projects, so it was nice to get him to do that live on the album, which is cool, and I think adds a nice feel to the band. You know,
Obviously you guys have got that kind of retro look, with the retro vibes going. Did you from the get-go, you got, obviously it's modern art and more of a modernized feel, but did you set out from the beginning? Of course, you mentioned there that you had the vintage shop. Did you just kind of want to go down that road at the beginning of
yeah,
this?
I think everyone's set off on their own little venture down that road, um, because it was something that we were all into before we joined the band. So,
Mm,
obviously when I was looking for a guitarist, I went to Rod, not specifically asking him, but obviously I was wondering if he would know of anyone in that circle that's into the same, obviously, look, sounds, it's all important stuff. Uh, so obviously he said he wanted to do it at that point, but then he was friends with Kirk, who was the same look. Obviously, then we found Nick through his girlfriend that was in one of our videos that has a '60s look. So across the board, everyone's a fan of it.
mm,
So I think it was something that we're all into. So obviously, when we've all collected together, it's already all there.
mm. Um, One of my kind of personal favorites off the album is Mexican Horse. It feels like it's just got this kind of
Mm.
great feel to it. It feels like
Yeah,
almost kind of
I like that one.
yeah, like it feels like, maybe in a live setting, kind of a middle of the set kind of song that might get extended or something like that. How did that one come about?
That one come about. That one has been going for a bit. For I say a while, probably wrote around when the first album was done, but it felt like it didn't really work for the first album, so I just sort of had another go on it. I think the choruses were already in place, or the verses. Some of it was already half wrote, so I just sort of came back to it and just give it a bit more time. I think we, came in with the acoustic. It just became a bit of a kind of pushed it really. I think, vocally that one was a bit more interesting because that was about a family member with a certain addiction, to something a bit, obviously, relatively dark, drugs, you could say. So obviously, as it became apparent of their passing, it kind of made me want to home in on that more and finish that song.
Is there a particular personal favorite for you off the album? One for people to look out for, perhaps?
Oh, that's so tough.
Or is it like picking a
Mexican
favorite
also
child?
do really like. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, luckily I don't have any at the minute, so yeah, I don't know the reference on that one. Or favorite band member. No, probably
Yeah.
Business is Dead, I think. Mexican Horse is a close second though. I like how Business is Dead came across in the recording side of it. I think it came across very cool. It was a very 100-year-old piano. The low end's really cool on the track. I thought the guitars sounded great. I really, you had this sort of dark element that's sort of different to the first album. So that's up there. But yeah, Mexican Horse is closely up there as well. I do really like that song.
I mean, you mentioned 100-year-old piano there. Do you like to kind of utilize, some, these kind of vintage gear with that? How did you come about doing
That's
that?
That's why we do record at Echo Zoo in Eastbourne, because Dave Lynch, not that Dave Lynch, a different Dave Lynch. He's required a lot of amazing, vintage equipment, you could say. Whether that's Mellotrons, synths, guitars, amps, pedals, everything. So it does have a lot of amazing choice there. So it's very appealing for us and our engineer to go down there and use all that. So so that is why we chose that studio, because it's the sort of equipment we want to work with. It was a desk that it was. Oh God, it was recorded on a desk that was owned by Tony Visconti.
Right.
I can't remember what Bowie tracks were done. I don't know if he actually knew. It came from around there in the early 70s. So it's all pretty vintage around there. But it's all really cool equipment and amazing stuff to use. So it's there to use, isn't it? I guess it's there for us to play with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A question I always like to finish on, that I ask every guest. It's a bit of a hypothetical one. If you could tour with one band from the past and one from the present, who would they be? Of course, you've ticked off Rival Sons, but is there more?
No, we can't. We can't tour with them. Obviously, God.
Everybody struggles with this one.
It's tough, isn't it? Yeah, probably not my favorite. Obviously, one of my favorite bands, but not in my top 5. Rolling Stones, I think, would have been amazing to tour with. Around that early 72 period, I think that would have been pretty brilliant touring with them. I think that would have been a world of fun.
Do you have one from today that you'd go for?
Oh,
yeah.
Band. Oh, that makes it a bit harder, doesn't it? Oh God, that's really tough. Well, they're still actively going.
Yeah, they could be. They could have been going for years, but if they're just still around.
Oh God. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to get I'm going to say a wrong answer, and I'm going to get judged by the guys for saying something wrong.
I mean, you can be selfish. You can go for somebody that you just enjoy.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would probably be. it would have been probably. I don't know. Stuff. Something relatively linked to Jack White would probably be the answer. On the slightest glimmer of hope, or 1 in a million chance that we might be able to go on stage and do something with him, maybe a track or a gig or something, a part of the tour we could come on and play something together on stage. I'd probably pick him for that reason.
I'm feeling like the Raconteurs would be a great shout. Of course, that's a Jack White project there.
That would really suit us.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that would really suit us down to the ground, wouldn't it? So yeah, let's say the Raconteurs. That would be a pretty ideal one, I think, wouldn't it?
It just feels like you know a similar flavor there.
Yeah.
Some great choices there, man. For those out there that want to, of course, grab the new album,
who do you pick?
Who would I go for? Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh, nobody. There's very few people have flipped.
One, is it?
Yeah. Oh god. From the past, I would probably say Led Zeppelin. Everybody says Led Zeppelin, but I just think it would be too big of an opportunity. You know. From today,
it's up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it just feels too big. From today, Gore. You see, this is the interesting thing. I find that everybody goes like no trouble for the ones in the past, but for today, everybody always struggles, including me.
It's hard, isn't it? That's harder.
It is. I mean, a lot of people have picked Rival Sons. It's a very popular one.
Have they?
Yeah, but
right.
including Jay himself, which was an interesting. That was an interesting choice.
He picked Rival Sons.
He went. He said Rival Sons of the past, and he says Rival Sons for today. But yeah, I don't know who would. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'd be tempted to go down a bit of a Jack White road as well. I know I'm at risk of copying you there. I just feel he's kind of a perfect balance.
No. It's probably the.
He's like like of the artists of the last like 20 odd years.
This modernized thing, but it's still bringing the old school in.
Of the last like 20 odd years, I feel he's kind of that one, isn't he, at the top? Yeah. I think I'm going to have to copy him, probably go with him.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a good answer.
Yeah, I'll probably from the past again. I'd probably say like Neil Young. I think he'd be interesting. Although I've heard he's difficult.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Neil Young. Yeah, Neil Young across America would probably be the one.
Be a solid channel.
I imagine it'd be pretty mad doing some, Yeah, that could be pretty crazy. Or the Grateful Dead could be quite interesting.
Yeah.
They always had these big concerts, didn't they? In like these small, places, states in America, not obviously in the big states, but like loads of towns and interesting looking gigs. That could be quite cool.
I think the Doors would be a big one. Feel like that'd be interesting.
Doors would be a big one. It would be a big one for me in terms of how much I love them, but in terms of, I think Zeppelin or Stones, I think that sort of tour would be.
It's just so big, isn't it? Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
Yeah. Well, there's a million bands you could pick, isn't there, from that?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Of course, for those that want to go and grab the new album, where can people go and grab Business is Dead?
eBay, apparently. Yeah, I've seen
really?
I've seen the eBay pre-order link come in. Yeah, not even people selling it on. I mean, like it's through a site. Someone sent me a link through the distribution thing, and eBay. So apparently, eBay's
already going.
Thing.
Already going for it.
So yeah, eBay's business isn't dead. You could say. Yeah, they should. Yeah, because I think everyone thought they disappeared when Facebook Marketplace came forward. But maybe eBay should do a thing now called Business is Dead and push our album. Business isn't dead. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm assuming you've got your own website. Yeah. People can grab it from there.
Yeah. So it's through Townsend Music. We're distributing it. Then obviously, places like your Rough Trade, HMVs,
Yeah.
most music outlets. Yeah, selling it out. Yeah.
Cool, man.
So exciting stuff. Yeah, we just had our first review in today, and I can tell you it was a good one.
Right. Well, that's always
So
positive.
we're all, yeah, classic rocks. That was really really good. So that drops tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens with the rest. But yeah, exciting stuff. Hopefully people dig it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, classic rock, they're always difficult to please. You don't get high scores all the time. They don't dish them
They are,
out.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, well, we got a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
So
9 out of 10.
that's pretty good. We'll take that. I was get a bit
Absolutely.
pretty nervous when we find out what people are going to write.